Welcome, my creative beings, to another episode of the Envy series, where once again, guys, our goal is to unveil the curtains of the fashion and entertainment business and give you guys an inside scoop of who's behind the hottest celebrities and creative projects today. My name is Maria Von Sothen, or just MVS, and I'm your curator in chief. Before we get started today, here, guys, I just wanted to let you know that we're recording inside the offices of Liret, which is owned by my dear friend Eduard Liret. They are an amazing cashmere brand based here in New York City. Their pieces are made 100% out of Mongolian cashmere. I'm actually wearing my favorite one today, which is the sweater number 25. I hope you guys can see it from there. If you guys haven't seen the brand, please check them out. They're absolutely amazing. So, guys, today's episode might just make me a tiny bit nostalgic here, so please bear with me today, as the creative gracing us with her presence used to collaborate with me in my editorial era, I would say a few moons ago, and she was a real favorite for me, creatives. I will be talking to celebrity and editorial uber talented makeup artist Carolina Dali. Today, her resume is more packed than a New York subway, and I say that in the best way possible, as she has collaborated with the biggest fashion outlets in the world, including Vogue, Vogue Italia, V Magazine, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, and Interview Magazine. She has also worked on campaigns for Tom Ford, Chanel, Marc Jacobs, Oscar de la Renta, Michael Kors, Louis Vuitton, Calvin Klein, and Nike. Her celebrity clients, guys, include Euphoria's own Hunter Schafer, Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things, Kate Hudson, and more. Caro, my beautiful and kindest friend.
Belleza.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Welcome to the Envy series.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to be here. I never do these things, and
I
when
know
you
you
asked
don't.
me, I was like, obviously.
I know you won't. And thank you so much, if anything, for gracing us with your time and
Oh, you're so
presence today.
sweet.
Guys, she's so busy, this lady. Like, truly, I'm honored to have her in this chair today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's my absolute pleasure. So, my love, I usually like to start these little chats of ours by taking it back to our guests' beginnings, of course, and really making sure that our creatives back home familiarize themselves, with you in a more personal way, which is what we're trying to do here, right? So, can you start by telling us, where were you born and where did you grow up?
So I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up on the border of Bed-Stuy to Williamsburg on Bedford, but years and years ago, long before it became, what it is today, when it was just like mostly a community of Latinos and Black artists and artists in general.
That's beautiful.
So it was a great time.
Our
to
Latino
grow up
people,
there.
yes.
Yes, with all my Latinos, it was magic.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I would actually love to know, talking about your beginnings and you growing up, at what point, my love, do you believe your passion for makeup and fashion began, right? Was it from an early age? And were your parents or family supportive of those interests, if that was the case?
So my parents were not the most supportive.
Right.
They wanted me to become like a lawyer or an architect.
I got that.
I became interested in fashion very young. I would say
Ooh.
probably like around 11, 12 years old.
Very young,
Yeah,
actually.
my sister, much older sister,
Right.
is a hairstylist.
Oh.
So I started assisting at a salon when I was like 12, 13.
My gosh, you were literally a baby prodigy.
Cleaning the floor, assisting, and my mom, she kind of worked in fashion.
Okay.
She was a pattern maker.
Oh, wow.
And then my grandmother was a seamstress. So in a way, even though it wasn't like on the side that I'm in, it did inspire me and spark an interest really young.
Absolutely, because I feel like also when you see that at home, maybe it's not what they wanted for you. Because I know, like, the
Yes.
artist life is a struggle, guys,
Absolutely.
right?
And like my mom, she worked in a factory in Brooklyn and
Oh,
had
wow.
like, a really tough life, making minimum wage and making it
Absolutely.
work, doing two jobs,
Wow.
sometimes even three. So I don't think she wanted that
For
for me.
you.
She wanted me to, go into academics or law or
Something that would maybe
something
be
else.
smoother, right,
Yeah.
for your future. But I see where you
Yeah.
got the hustle from.
The hustle hard from my mom and my dad.
Absolutely. I can
Yeah.
see that. I can see that. And, something I was interested to know as well is, where did you go to school and what did you study? Because I think a lot of our creatives back home really wonder if it's necessary to maybe study their craft, especially an artistic craft, right, in
Yes.
school.
I think it can help, but for the most part, for makeup, like on my end,
Right.
I wouldn't say that it's mandatory. A lot of the top makeup artists that I know did not study beauty or
Absolutely,
makeup,
in
including
school.
myself. I
Yeah.
did not study makeup in school. I studied fashion design
Oh,
in
wow.
high school. I went to Fashion Industries High School in the city. And then in college, I studied human resources and German. So they have absolutely
Wow.
nothing to do with what I do today.
So you see, guys, not necessarily as
Not
Caro just said,
necessarily, not
right?
at all. If you have a passion for it and you can get the right amount of practice, I think it's possible without having to per se
To go
study
to school for it. I think if you
Yeah.
have the love, the passion, and the interest,
Yes.
right, you can really go after, study that craft on yourself, and practice,
Absolutely.
practice makes it perfect. And now I'm so curious to know, friend, what was your first opportunity ever in this industry? Were you assisting possibly, and how did it come about for you?
So I never assisted anyone. When I started doing makeup, I didn't even know that like assisting was a possibility.
Wow.
And this was like before social media. So
was
it's
a different
not,
time.
it's a different time. It's not like it is today where we're like, okay, this is the trajectory that you should follow. And this is like the quickest way to make it there.
Absolutely.
So I was actually, I feel like makeup found me.
Wow.
Because I wasn't even
love
looking
that.
to do makeup. I was studying fashion design and I
Right.
thought I was going to become a fashion designer because I loved drawing, painting. I mean, art was my first true passion when I was a child. I wanted to become a painter.
That makes
And
sense.
then I realized, okay, well, I love fashion, so I can combine the two and work as a fashion designer. And so when I was going to fashion design high school, the High School of Fashion Industries, I had friends that I would do makeup on for like Halloween and just events, just my good friends.
Right. Started
And
like playing with them a little
started
bit.
playing with them and I would transform them into these like completely different characters. And I remember my
crazy.
one friend Angel, I did his makeup for Halloween and he dressed up as China the wrestler.
No way.
And it was so spot on. Like people went nuts. And then a friend of mine was actually looking for a job for herself.
Okay.
And she saw a listing for makeup artists wanted. And she was like, you should go. You should call them. Like it's $20 an hour. I would go if I knew how to do makeup.
Absolutely. But that wasn't
And-
the case for her. So she
But
was like,
that
it's
was
you, girl.
exactly. She was like, "It's
Good
you.
friend.
You should do it." And I was like, $20 an hour. That sounds like a lot of money. I was like 16 at the time.
Right.
So I called and the lady was like, okay, you can come in and like, let's just do like a trial
Absolutely.
on one of her coworkers. And so I went in, it was like this high end beauty boutique.
Ooh,
And
nice.
and so I did the trial and she was like, wow, you're so good. And she like hired me on the spot. And she had no idea that I was 16 years old and I was like working with a fake ID basically.
Oh my god.
'Cause I
Fake
was-
it till you make it,
Fake it
right?
till you make
It
it. I
happens
was
to
like-
all of us.
I was like, my mom was a single mom. She'd recently
sure.
gotten divorced from my dad. And like I mentioned before, she worked a factory job. We're living in New York City. I was like, I need to find a way to make
Support her.
money
Right,
and
right,
support
right.
her and help my family
Oh,
as well.
beautiful friend.
So I found, or makeup found me, and then it just kind of, slowly went into different and bigger opportunities. And eventually, I ended up finding out more about, the profession of like makeup as a
Absolutely.
profession.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wait, this is actually the perfect fit for me because I love to paint
Right.
and draw. And when I learned more about fashion design, I realized that it wasn't as fitting for my personality
As you thought it would be
as
initially, right?
Yes.
You kind of like started to find your way.
Exactly. And I realized like makeup artistry is like painting. The difference is that I'm painting on a live canvas instead of,
A still right, blank canvas.
object that doesn't move. So, I decided to pursue it, and I started off by doing test shoots to build my book.
I feel you. That happened
for free.
To me.
Like literally making zero money and working all these other odd jobs to be able to test and build my book, and just like reaching out to modeling agencies and photographers that I would find online, and just being like, hey, just literally cold calling people and emailing people and being like, give me a chance. I will do it for free. And eventually some of the modeling agencies, like I tried to get in with and like meet with all the modeling agencies in New York.
Absolutely.
And, some of them wouldn't respond, but
it happens all the time.
With enough, persistence and always following up and trying to call and email regularly, and
that's
everyone.
That's
eventually
crucial.
They're like, oh wait, we have this model that we just signed, and she's doing this test shoot. If you want, we'll put you in touch with the photographer. And then that's how it started
picking up for you, because I think it's so important what you just touched on. It was literally, my next question for you, because sometimes people think that, oh, the opportunities will rise. I'm good. I'm gonna put this on Instagram and that's it. But like as you guys can see, it really takes a lot of persistence, right?
Yes.
A lot of passion, and you being able to take the no's, right?
Absolutely.
And the doors in your face.
Yes.
And really being able to say, okay, I understand that this happened. I'm still acquiring some experience here, but I'm gonna keep pushing and pushing for more. And you truly went after these people.
Yes,
right?
I did.
That's crazy.
I tried not to be annoying and call every week, but I was definitely persistent, and I would always find different avenues. If like I was looking at a certain modeling agency that had like all the top models, I would see that on the corner they would list the photographer that shot each picture.
Girl.
And I would be like, oh, let me Google this person. And then I would find their website and I will email them and send them samples of my work.
Right.
And eventually people slowly started reaching out to me, and so many of the great agencies in New York I got to working with, like IMG and Women Supreme at the time.
Oh, wow.
And that's
how it all picked up for you a little bit, right?
Yeah. And I literally did not know a single person in the industry.
That's crazy.
Like,
it's so important that you're mentioning
this. Not a
this
single
too.
connection.
Right. You just went for it, literally.
I just went for it. And in a way, it's like, when you're so young, you have this kind of like, just like
drive,
go for it, drive, like eyes on the bull's eye attitude, that you don't realize that, oh, maybe these people are never going to reach out to me. I never thought that. I was like, oh, it's only a matter of time. Like they're eventually going to show up. Respond.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to have kind of like that young, disillusional, like, yeah, it's going to work.
Absolutely.
Attitude.
And I'm sure you were at it for maybe a year or a few years, right? Until it like really, really picked up for you, right? Because people sometimes think like, oh, I'll get the first opportunity and I'll be booked and busy right after that.
Absolutely not.
Right?
The very first job that I got working at that beauty boutique, I worked that job because I was still going to high school during the weekdays, so I would work that job on the weekends. And then eventually when I finished high school, I was working like 3 other jobs to supplement my income so that I could go do those test shoots for free.
Girl, you were at it.
I was at it. I was working as like a telemarketer. I was working in like women's clothing shops. I was doing everything just so that I could have enough income to be able to test. Since I wasn't getting paid for that, I had to find another way to supplement my income. I would say like the first year or 2, I did not make any money doing photo shoots.
That happened to me as well in styling, so I get where you're coming from. Wow, that's impressive. I did not know that, creatives.
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really excited to hear this from you. And I also noticed, my love, in your bio that you have
Yeah.
men's groomer,
Yes.
which I was actually surprised by because we worked together in a few
Yeah.
editorials. And Cara is obviously a master makeup artist, as I mentioned to you guys in our
Oh, thank
intro.
you.
Was it something, men's grooming that you started doing simultaneously with makeup back then as well? Was it something that came with time?
I believe I started kind of like doing both. I started off with women mostly,
Right.
but later on in my career, as I got representation,
Right.
my agent was like, "Oh, you do this like very clean, like minimal skin. This could work
For you as well."
great for men." Because, men usually don't like to wear a lot of makeup and like to look as
That's very
natural
true.
as possible.
Yeah.
And so I started doing men, and that eventually grew and grew rather quickly. And
Wow.
and that was great because I love working with women, but I
Yes.
love working with men too. It's a different energy.
I fully get that.
And yeah, I enjoy both, and I've been blessed to work with a lot
Both
of
sides.
both sides, and have worked with some incredible talent, and
Yeah.
have a really great male clientele in
Exact.
addition
I know
to
you
women.
do. I know you do, and I think it's important,
Yeah.
like Caro says here, to have this diversity, guys.
Yes.
I think I think that expands obviously your clientele and your potential to keep growing when you can really do both things.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
I think that's crucial. I think that's crucial. And talking, my friend, about your beginnings here, right?
Yes.
We always like to know here at the MV series, were there possibly any mentors or players in the field who guided you at all or helped you along the way to get to the stage you're in your career today? I know some people don't have it, some people do. So I'd
Yeah.
love to know your take on this.
I don't, sadly, I don't have any
Wow.
mentors. Like I mentioned, I came into the industry and I knew nobody. I had to start at the very bottom and slowly work my way to where I am today. And yeah.
Kind of guide yourself through it,
Yeah,
basically, right?
yes.
I did have a few players that helped me here and there.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely, I must say, that like helped me, get better at my craft. But I do
Yeah.
completely see where you're coming from, because I think the opportunities I got, mostly I had
Yeah.
to like go for them myself.
Yes.
I think
Absolutely,
Eduardo,
same.
the one that worked with us a little
Oh,
bit,
yes,
was a
the
person
photographer,
that definitely
yes.
supported me with a few opportunities here and there. But definitely a
Yes.
stylist itself, like I had probably one that helped guide me.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. So I get where you're coming from, where I had to really find my way.
And the thing too with like makeup artists and stylists as well,
Yeah.
is that we rarely ever meet other makeup artists. Like I don't
Yes.
really know that many, and the few that I have met, I've met at like a press junket or something like that. Like, we're like working on like a cast of a
Of
movie.
people. Right.
But it's still rare. And even though now I have a few good friends that are makeup artists, like especially when I started, I started off doing mostly like photo shoots, fashion, advertisement. I was always the only makeup artist in the room.
Right.
So I unfortunately didn't get to meet other makeup artists.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
get that, because exactly like you said, I think it's similar in both sides, right? And when you do, it's more when you have those group projects, and it's very rare
It's very rare.
that they happen. Right. What would you say was your first biggest opportunity as a key makeup
Yes.
artist, right? And we would love to know also how this came about for you, because it's always important,
Yeah.
right? To explain the
absolutely.
process here of that growth.
So I was freelancing in kind of like on the store and freelance level for several beauty brands at the time.
Okay.
And one of them was Dior. And I had
Ooh.
a great relationship with the entire team.
Wow.
And I was super young. They had just opened up a position for national makeup artists for the US.
That's huge,
And,
girl.
yeah, and actually the job was not even meant to be for me. The job was meant to be for their trainer. She was the one that was in charge of training all the makeup artists that worked for Dior.
Absolutely.
But she became pregnant and was going to have a baby. And she was like, I can't do it, but I want Carolina to be able to do it.
What a blessing.
So she basically picked me to do the job, and it was kind of like unbelievable for most people because I was like 20 turning 21.
Still a baby.
Yeah, still a baby, and
Caro.
like so grateful always for Dior to have given me that opportunity, because most of the people that were in a position like that in other brands were people that were like, you know, very experienced and well into their 30s.
Of course.
So it was really you know, it was really a huge blessing to have them recognize my talent and be able to take a chance on me at such a young age.
I couldn't
mean,
agree more. Like, what up? And maybe like this was written in the stars for you.
Yes.
It's what I feel, you know, because look where
Yes.
you are today. And I think this was the first major stepping
It
stone,
was
as you say, in your career,
first
right?
huge stepping stone.
I think it's beautiful that I can see this brand does give opportunities to
Yes.
younger, you know,
younger
artists.
artists. Absolutely.
And it's lovely to know that you were one of those chosen ones, because I know you deserve it more than anybody here.
Thank
But
you.
that's awesome to know. What a beautiful
Yeah.
first opportunity to have. And I'm sure you trained a bunch of people in that
I
experience,
did,
right?
I did, and I got to work with some incredible artists, and I got to work with, you know, the entire Dior team that was very supportive and really amazing to
That's
work
incredible.
with. And then from there, it's when I decided, okay, I want to do this and do this full force and
Absolutely.
like really go for it, because I felt like at the time there wasn't that much more room for me to grow as an artist.
Right.
Because, you know, it was kind of like the biggest position that you
To
could
have
hold
there, absolutely.
as a makeup artist. So I felt like, you know, it was time for me to go on and give the freelance career path like a real go.
A real go. Especially after that
Yeah.
experience, I'm sure it was, you know, then a little bit more helpful for you to build on top of that and say, hey, I've already done this. Now I'm
Yes.
ready to, you know, spread my wings and fly, basically.
Yes, and
I love that.
I'm so glad that
Aw.
I made that choice.
I am too, and I'm thankful for Dior as well. I definitely am.
Thank you,
And-
Dior.
Yeah, thank you, Dior. Killed it. And we know that today, obviously, right? And I think you just spoke a little bit on that, so we're gonna expand on it. You work with both, obviously, fashion brands and magazines, right? As well as with celebrities on their personal events and appearances.
Yes.
So was there a particular order in which these jobs started coming your way? For example, was it initially mainly brands, right, and editorials, and then little by little you started booking those personal celebrity clients?
Yes, so I started off mostly doing editorial and advertisement, and I did that for several years. And actually, my first celebrity client just happened by the stars, by
Wow.
coincidence. I was friends with this model, and she was friends with the manager to Lauryn Hill.
Oh, wow.
And I had no idea. I had no
Girl,
clue.
You throw this bomb here today.
Yes.
Wow.
And she was, so the model, she was looking for a makeup artist because she was doing like this photo shoot for herself to like build her book.
Of
And she
course.
was like, hey, I don't really have a budget, but like, could you help me and do my makeup? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, again, this is very important, especially when you start out. Say yes to everything, because you never know where it may lead.
Thank you for saying
So
this.
I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'll come, I'll do it, no problem. So I did the photo shoot for her and did her makeup, and the pictures turned out gorgeous.
I
And
have
then,
no doubt.
Aw,
I
thank
wish
you,
I was
thank
like, do you want to
you.
come to my shoot? Biggest blessing in the world.
And yeah, so she got the pictures and they looked beautiful. And then she happened to be showing them to her friend who worked with Lauren.
Right.
And at the time, Lauren was going on a world tour and like doing mostly Europe. And so he was looking for a makeup artist for her. And so I was living in Brooklyn in Bay Ridge. It was like my
Whoa.
first apartment by myself. It was like this 1-bedroom apartment. And Lauryn Hill literally came to my house.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
Dead
You guys
serious.
heard this here first, okay?
Dead serious. She
That's
came
insane,
to my
girl.
house and she had me do the makeup trial on her.
Oh, Lord.
I had, which I used to do back then, and I need to find a picture of this because I have it somewhere at home. But back then, before I worked with someone, I would make a drawing of how I envisioned their makeup.
Of course. So you were very prepared always,
Yes,
basically.
so
ready to
I
go.
pulled out my sketchbook and I was like, oh, I kind of envision you with this look. And she was like, okay. And she let me do her makeup in my living room.
Wow,
and,
girl.
And she really loved it and she booked me. And that was like my first celebrity client. And I was 21.
That's insane. That's
Yeah.
literally insane. So you see, guys, I think that every time someone knocks in your door, I know that our time is so valuable, right? And I think
Yes.
with growth, of course, you need to make sure that it's worth your time, and that you're really positioning yourself in the right way. But I think that
Yes.
especially at the beginning, when you're wanting to grow and
Yes.
spread those wings, it's important to take on a lot of the opportunities that come your way,
Yes.
even if they're without pay, because it's just taking you a step closer, right?
Absolutely. You never know the connection that you could build from that. And I'm not saying do it going in thinking that it's going to lead to something.
Right.
Sometimes it might not lead to anything. But nonetheless, it's important to try to build as many connections, especially early on, as possible. And yeah, and I mean, I had another 2 jobs supplementing my income, so I was blessed enough to be able to do that. And I know a lot of people can't do that, but there is a way.
There is a way. When there's a will,
Yeah.
there's a way.
When there's a
right?
will, there's a
and
way.
you're living proof, literally,
Yes.
of this today, guys. Seriously. And today, do you have a preference for editorial brand work or personal celebrity gigs, or they're both, equally?
I love them both, and they are equally as
fulfilling.
fun, fulfilling, and exciting for me as an artist. Like, I like to have a mix of all.
For sure.
And I get bored very easily, so
You're an artist, so I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't want to be stuck doing just one thing.
For sure.
So it's nice to have a mix of it all.
And I think for the book, like we were saying, right, even talking back to the man's groomer part that we were
Yes.
speaking, like having that diversity in the portfolio.
Yes, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. Especially during the pandemic, that really helped me, because like I can do advertisement work, I can do editorial work, I can do men's, I can do women's. So there were definitely a lot more jobs that I was able to do even during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That, like, for example, some of my fellow artists that only did celebrities, they were not working for the most part. Like, a lot of them were not working at all because the events were not happening.
Of course.
But thankfully for me, knock on wood,
Wow.
I had, already a book built with a strong advertisement and
And you were able
commercial
to
work and
tap, right?
editorial, and I was able to just spend more time doing those, and
Absolutely.
because the celebrity work was not coming in. So I was very, very lucky to have been diversified and been able to do the other jobs as well.
Amen to that. Truthfully, amen
Yeah.
to that, because I think that's where the really diversifying your portfolio
Yes.
comes into place. We really don't
Yes.
control what happens in the world, what happens in different fields, or what's
Absolutely.
going on. Maybe there's a recession, God knows.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so having really those diverse skills can really help set you apart and make sure
Yes.
that you're putting food on the table and you're ready to rock and roll.
It's really, really important for me as a makeup artist to be diversified, to be able to do more than one style of makeup.
Absolutely.
It's really, really important. I can't stress that enough, for especially people that are, trying to get into the industry, to really learn to do it, to do as much of it as you can.
Of course.
To learn to do skin that's, not perfect. To also learn how to work with skin that's older.
Exactly.
Different features,
Yes.
different races. Like, this is all so important, because in the end it will create opportunity.
And I loved that you touch on this because I've seen also as a stylist, the real importance of knowing how to do every single type of skin. And I think it's crazy to say, and you can comment this a little bit better than I can, as obviously a makeup artist, that I've witnessed, makeup artists sometimes not being able to really deal with every type of skin, and even in this time, right?
Yeah, oh, 100%. Even nowadays, I see it sometimes where, there's like artists that are really high up and are like signed to really reputable agencies, and they still can't color match like black skin or Latino skin tones. So it's important to be able to do it all, including black skin, POC skin that has acne, skin that is aging, that's in your, someone that's in their 60s, 70s and beyond.
Absolutely.
Like, you need to be able to do it all. You can't just go in thinking, oh yeah, I can just like do makeup on like a 17-year-old model. I mean, at that point, like, anybody can do that.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's really understanding that not every job will be the same job. And even like when you're faced with a client, what are you going to say? Just no, or like ruin their skin or not do a great job. So I think really inclusion and having every product for every type of skin.
100%.
Right. And the technique for that. And talking actually about technique, I wanted to ask you a question regarding, are there different set of skills that you need to have for editorial versus a private client? Because I know even like for camera is one thing, maybe for, I don't know, an interview is another thing, right? So I guess it changes a little bit.
Yeah, it does. For like editorial work, I find that for me, it's a lot more creative and freeing. And it does require a different set of skills because, for example, when I go into doing an editorial, I get a mood board from the photographer and from the stylist. And then off that mood board, I go into my laptop on Photoshop and I put together my own makeup mood board. I pull my own references. So yeah, it requires a whole different set of skill.
Absolutely.
Like even just something as simple as like being able to use Photoshop and go into Photoshop and create like a good mood board so that the day of the photo shoot, you say, okay, visually, you pull that up and you show the photographer, these are my ideas, and you go through your ideas and plan the looks.
Right.
And then for celebrities and for events, I feel like a lot of it is more psychological than it is than it is having those technical skills to like be able to put together a mood board and pull references and etc.
So you see, guys, even Photoshop, I think as a makeup artist, maybe a lot of you wouldn't think of it, right? Starting off the bat. It's obviously something important for Caro's work, and that really helps her communicate, which is another important thing, being able to communicate with the team, right? With the rest of the team.
Absolutely, because one person's description of natural can be a completely different description for somebody else.
I love that you're
so saying it's important to be able to communicate and show them visually what you want to do and what you want to input to the entire creative process.
And I think it even helps you like not waste your time because you're really being proactive about speaking about it with everybody before, right? And not like having to do a look and then take it all off because it's not what the photographer thought it would be. I've seen that happen.
Oh, 100%, because his description of, do this look could be, you could have a completely different thought and idea in your head from what they are envisioning. So that's where referencing, mood boarding, etc. comes in.
Really comes in. That makes so much sense to me. And now since, we were talking about skills and the different skills that you might need, editorial versus private celebrity client, I would love to touch on your personal aesthetic.
Yes.
How would you describe it? And what would you say have been the key factors which possibly helped set yourself apart as an artist, as a makeup artist, right, in this field?
I would say my aesthetic is minimalistic, modern glamour with an edge. For me, even when I first started doing makeup, I early on developed my signature, and my signature was skin very clean, minimal, fresh, glowing skin. I have maintained that through my entire career. So I feel like that's what I became known for. I became known for creating that very fresh, beautiful skin. I love to show freckles and beauty marks.
Absolutely.
And I feel like also when you create as a base, that sort of natural, fresh, glowing skin, you can add an eye, you can add a lip, you can add jewels. You can do all these things and it never looks overpowering or overdone because you have that foundation that is feels so light and effortless.
And fresh even,
And
right?
fresh,
So I think
yes.
it's important to really stick to your essence here,
Yes.
right? I think it will really help, shine a light on you and on your aesthetic throughout time.
I've had people that have told me, sometimes they're like scrolling on Instagram and they see a makeup job and they're like, oh, I know Carolina had to have done this. And I'm the
Wow.
makeup artist that did that work because some people can see my work and pinpoint it, and it all ties back
That's
to
insane.
that natural skin, like beautiful, fresh, glowing skin
You have
that
your
I've always
trademark.
done. I have
Yes.
my trademark. I was never ever into heavy skin, and I'm not saying that I'm against it. Like everybody has their own aesthetic, and it can work for other people for sure. But that was never my thing.
The reason why I think you stood so strong within the industry for so many years. That makes a lot of sense to me, and I love that you never changed that essence
Never
about
changed
you.
that, and I never will.
That's huge. That's huge. And we obviously know, my love, that you've been, in the beauty industry for so many years today.
Yes.
And it would be lovely to know a little bit more, about what crucial lessons you've had throughout your career. So what would you say, I guess, today were your main lesson or lessons that you've learned throughout your journey as a makeup artist, or that you wish someone had told you about as a younger Carolina, which you could share with our creatives back home today? Maybe like the most important thing for you throughout your journey here that you've learned and you've taken with you.
I would say definitely believing in yourself and always staying focused on where your career is heading and the trajectory and direction that is going, and not focus on the noise around you. Just focus on you and your goals and what you want to achieve.
I think that's huge. Something that I even went through, and I'm not sure you've been through it. It's sometimes like you're only seeing, there's not that many people in this industry, but you start noticing them when you start growing, right? And I think what you said is so crucial, to just focus on you,
Yes.
and on your journey, because you're so right about the noise, and you
Yes.
can maybe just like mistakenly focus on someone else, or being like, they're here, how do I get to this point? I'm not there
Right.
yet, right? And it can kind of
Exactly.
like mess with your mind.
And like, everybody's journey is different. You might arrive before or you might arrive after, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, success is not one straight line.
That's so true.
That's another thing to always keep in mind.
It was so important.
It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not one straight line.
So important that you said that. I couldn't agree more. And also, I know we touched on this just a tiny little bit, so I wanted to get more in depth about agencies here, right? And being managed by an agent. I know a lot of up and coming beauty artists obviously look to be associated with one day, to be able to expand really their portfolio, their exposition, their bookings. Given you are a part of the Wall Group today, we know that. What would you recommend is the best or most effective way of maybe reaching out to agencies to be able to acquire representation in the future?
I would say start assisting if you can.
Okay.
Like assist artists that are signed to the agency, especially when you're first starting
Yes.
out. Get a relationship, like build a relationship with the artist, and then eventually and when you're assisting an artist that is signed to the agency, you're going to come in contact with the agent and their assistants and get to know more of the team, so you can develop a relationship with them.
Right, and I think that would
Yeah.
even help grow into a key, makeup
Yeah,
artist
oh
one
absolutely.
day.
There's several artists at even like at my agency at the Wall Group that were assistants to other
Wow.
artists that have since been signed.
That's
So
incredible to
yeah,
know, guys. You
there's
see?
several,
So there's
several.
definitely an opportunity there. I love that you
Yeah.
suggested that. I think it's a great way to start. And especially you not knowing back then that you could do that. You
Yeah. Oh,
probably
I
had
wish
to,
I would have known.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So now you guys do, because she, has blessed us with this advice today here. And also, I think it's important to maybe share with everybody what should they expect, right, from their agent or agency once they've been signed.
The way that I see it, and my relationship with my own two managers, I have one in LA, one in New York, and they represent me like across the board. Is it's like a marriage, It's a it's
Wow,
a
yeah.
it's a partnership. Like yes, an agent can make introductions for you, but it's up to you as an artist to do your best job, to show up on time, to be kind and respectful, and to repeat that booking. And sometimes you don't repeat that booking, and that's absolutely fine. But it's important to have a partnership between the two, between yourself as an artist and the agent.
I think it helps too, because I've seen in many cases sometimes even the artist will bring another client, but it's important just that they are
Yeah.
there to support you management wise,
Absolutely.
right?
It should never be one-sided. It should never be where you have a manager, or agent, and you are the one bringing in every single job,
Right.
and you don't feel like you're being supported in any way. Like it should be a partnership between
Absolutely.
the two.
Absolutely. And would you say they also maybe help you, in terms of like negotiating your contract,
Oh,
and all that
absolutely.
part? Has it been a relief for you to have that support,
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, before, when I lived in Vienna, in Austria, I lived there like in my early 20s, and I was still working as a makeup artist and still coming to New York and doing jobs here and there. I didn't have an agent in New York because I was living there.
Of course.
And when I had to be the one, like sending out the invoices,
Wow.
etc. Oh my God, it was a disaster. Like I was literally
can
working
imagine.
for like Nike, and they were emailing me like, "Hey, I need your invoice. I
And
can't
you're
pay
like-
you without the invoice." And I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, this job was like several months ago, and I still haven't, like, I just completely forgot."
Absolutely,
you
because you're
know?
so on the go, right?
Yes, exactly. Like it's like, I had my daughter already, and I just had like a lot going on, and the traveling back and forth, and my family here and then traveling there. So I was I was like, wow, this is really hard to like try to do it all by yourself. It's really hard to, as an artist, go in, do the job, do the invoicing, do this, do that. Like it's a lot. It's such a relief for me, and I'm so thankful to to have my agents that are just, they help me so much with
Absolutely.
doing all the negotiations as well. I'm not good at negotiating.
Right, and I think artists in general, not everybody, guys, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of us do struggle with the money part, with the
Yes,
negotiating part.
absolutely.
And I definitely get where you're coming from in terms of like having that support, someone that's really focused on getting that side correct for you can truly be a game changer, right? Because imagine
absolutely.
if the Nike one, they didn't have reminded you, it could just have
It
you
would
know,
just
flown off the radar,
disappeared, and I
right.
wouldn't have even noticed.
Can you imagine how crazy,
Yeah.
Caro? How crazy? So that does make a lot of sense, guys. And now you
Yes,
understand a little bit
absolutely.
more, right? What to expect from that agent or agency.
Absolutely. And also with rates, in regards to rates, if there's a client that reaches out, maybe the agency has worked with that client before, so they know how much you should be getting paid.
Wow,
Instead of getting paid like a different sum, like they know what the rates are. And I mean, for me as an artist, like I'm more focused on the artistry side of
Right.
things than I am on
the business
invoicing
side of things,
and
absolutely.
business and like.
And you won't be
all
fooled with them by your side. So I think that does make a huge difference for
It-
us. So
it
we can keep
does.
being on the go, working, focusing on our art, and they can, take care more of that
Absolutely.
part.
Oh, it's a huge blessing.
I love that. And friend, as I've told you before here, right, we do love to celebrate your trajectory, your contributions to the field. But we obviously also love to touch upon struggles, right, you might have faced, so our creatives back home can have more of a concrete idea, I think, of the journey, of the road that you had as a whole, right? What would you say has been your biggest struggle ever, throughout your career, and how did you overcome it?
So I would say it's been balancing having a career and having a family. Like I have two kids. It's really
Beautiful babies.
like
Well, one is not
I'm
a
married.
baby.
Yeah, she's not such a baby anymore. But like being married and having my family and balancing life and family and work it can be quite challenging, there are certain opportunities that I sometimes pass on because, hey, I don't want to be gone for several weeks at a time away from my family.
Of course.
But
of
at the
course.
same time, my kids give me so much motivation, and my daughter is like such an inspiration for me in every way. Like,
I've seen that.
she's got such a great eye, and she's so talented in her own right. So it's like a balance of both, like it's a challenge, but at the same time, it's motivation and it's a blessing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I saw you even, you put a little makeup on her.
Oh,
I've seen you
yes.
guys
Oh, yeah,
getting
she
ready
loves it.
together.
She loves
She's
it.
gorgeous. And friend, I think it would be important now to maybe possibly share some tips you might have for beautiful people back home. What would you say is your biggest advice, right, for someone trying to become a celebrity or editorial makeup artist today? Where and how should they start? Can they start?
I would start doing makeup on everyone you can get your hands on. Like it could be your family members at home. Actually, that is one of the ways that I learned how to do makeup.
Right.
I would do my sister, my cousins, my aunts, my neighbor, and just really get to know and get to play with different facial features, different skin tones, age, skin conditions. And I would say, honestly, like if you're really young and you're starting out, get a job in a department store for at least 6 months.
That's a great tip. That's a great
Like,
tip.
one, you're going to get paid to be there. And two, you're going to learn how to do makeup on people of all walks of lives, all different skin textures, different age. It is so important. I can't stress that enough. You need to learn to do them all.
Literally.
From age, race, everything.
And what a better training place.
There's really no better training place. Like I'm so thankful that I like just fell into that.
Absolutely.
I literally had clients that would come in that would be of all ages, all background, different facial features, like different skin conditions.
Right.
Like you should know how to do makeup on someone that has acne, someone that has rosacea, someone that has psoriasis. Like you should master how to do all of those things before you want to go
further
into your career as a makeup artist.
I think
you should be able to master them all.
An amazing tip by Caro here, guys. I hope you took note of that. And my friend, for someone with maybe a little bit more experience already, maybe they've done, the department store, they've trained in their friends and family. What do you think today is the best way to get your work out there? I think besides obviously what you already mentioned, which is, being assisting other people in agencies, to have people start noticing you as a makeup artist. I know we're in the digital era today. I don't know if that's something you recommend as well, to be more online.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like social media is a really great tool to spread your work and get it seen by more and more eyes. Like Instagram and TikTok, they're wonderful tools.
Yeah.
So I would definitely suggest putting your work out there. And as artists, sometimes that's like one thing we don't do. I mean, I catch myself not even doing it myself as often as I should. I'm trying to get better at it. But it's important to put your work out there. You never know who could be watching and who could be like, oh, I like this. Like, let me go follow this person. And then suddenly they have something that comes up and they're like, oh, this girl, she posts such beautiful work, let me reach out to her. So it's really important to use the powers of social media as an artist nowadays.
I couldn't agree more, because even now in Reels today, you got it like in this
Yeah.
discovery pages, right? And someone could really
Absolutely.
find you through there and get that big
Yeah.
opportunity through your door.
Yeah.
And now, kind of talking, going back to the basics here, what would you say are key products that any makeup artist should always, carry in their kit?
I would say a good set of brushes are really important. But most of all, even before the pandemic started, cleanliness for me has always been a really, really big thing. Like, make sure you have cleansing wipes, make sure you have stuff to sanitize your tools, sanitize your makeup, keep your makeup clean and organized. That is more important. And believe it or not, clients do notice that, because I've had clients
Wow.
say to me, like, compliment how clean and organized my kit is.
Wow.
And be like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so happy to see that your stuff is so clean and organized, because I've worked with people who I was like scared. And it's like, well, I totally get it,
Yeah.
because it's your face and these tools are literally going in your eyes.
Yeah.
So you should just, no matter what you have in your kit, whether you have the most high-end beautiful products or you have what you can get by with, at the end of the day, keeping everything beautifully clean and organized and well presented, people are going to appreciate and recognize that.
Wow, should be number one. And I'm surprised
Yes.
maybe more artists are not focused on that. So I think that's huge, to say here. And obviously, like you said, you would be surprised that the clients notice. I was
Oh,
surprised
yeah.
too. And
They
it's probably
do.
because they haven't had the experience they had with you, or they've had worse situations
Oh,
where they're
yes.
like, this is not clean. And when they see you, they're almost, it's like a sigh of relief. And, I'm always thrilled to ask our creatives that we have here this question, as I know this industry is absolutely ever changing, right? Have you noticed any changes in the industry today compared to when you first started in it?
When I first signed with the Wall Group,
Right.
I would say back then you really had to have like the covers and all the big editorials with the biggest photographers and have the big campaigns. And now it's become a lot more accessible, which I think in a way is really great for more people, because you don't need to have like the big, huge covers anymore. Like when I started,
Of course, yeah.
now you could have like a strong following on social media and be able to showcase nice work, and you can get signed. So back then it was like, it was very hard.
Yeah, you had like a lot of, I guess, like doors to open, right? And like
Yes.
gatekeeping that was happening at the
Yes.
time. And I think that today
Absolutely.
we're able to be more independent, like you said, with social media. That's awesome to know, actually, because
Absolutely.
it gives a lot of the up and comers kind of like a side, it's like a relief.
Oh,
A
yeah.
feeling of relief that they can also get there somehow on their own and be noticed on their own, without maybe knowing the biggest photographer in the industry today and having
Right.
worked with them. That's huge what you're
Yeah.
saying. And finally, my love, I would love to know, if we may, of course, we love to get the scoop here. What is next for Carolina Dali? Any future projects or goals even we can know about?
Yeah, so I would like to play whatever small or big part it will be to help democratize the arts and make the arts more accessible for low income people and for people of color. That's my next goal as an artist, to be able to help open doors for artists that come from low income communities like myself, who was told, no, you can't be an artist because your family's poor. How are you going to pay the
my
bills?
God,
Like
that's
literally
insane to
being
me.
discouraged already as a child, and facing the reality that, wow, maybe these people are right and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that you can become an artist if you come from, a certain pedigree and a certain wealth. Like, it should be based on talent
Of
and,
course.
and talent alone, not on connections and money.
And that's what's fair, truly, guys.
Yeah.
And you see why I brought this lady boss here today, because I know, the kind person that she is, what she stands for. And it means so much, to me, that she took the time to be here and to even take the time to share this with you guys today. And her goal truly in the future is to be able to open these doors, which is also what we are trying to do here, right? And it means the world to know that this is what you're aspiring to do in the future. It just keeps me motivated to keep going as well, always. And it's so, so beautiful to have people like you moving this industry around and knowing that there's kind souls like yourself really gifting us with your presence and with your amazing values and aspirations for the future. And Caro, my friend, to wrap this in a bow today, we love to give opportunities here, for our beautiful people back home here, the MV series, our MV series ops, as we like to call them. So is there anywhere, my lover, any email you can provide us with today where our more experienced creatives, of course, can apply to possibly assist you on a project someday?
Yeah, absolutely. I will leave you the email to both of my managers, and you're more than welcome to reach out, especially if you're in the New York City area, or if you come here during Fashion Week and you're here during Fashion Week. Very often looking for assistance.
Guys, this is a huge opportunity, all right? So you're going to be seeing the email down there, so you guys can contact Caro and hopefully, run for the chance of supporting her and watching her work and, assisting her in a project in the near future. Caro, I must say, my friend, I'm so incredibly thrilled that we were able to make this interview today.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Since the moment, truly, guys, I reached out to her, you were so incredibly open and excited to share your experiences, not only with me but with everybody out there. You were so kind from day zero that I reached out about this, because of some of the reasons that I'm sure the creative saw here. Cannot think really of a better role model for our people back home than yourself. Not only is your career and your clientele absolutely astonishing, right? And every goal you've met is just incredible and an inspiration for anybody starting today. But to me, as a person, as I always say, you could not be kinder, warmer, and really more welcoming to anybody that's working with you or even around you, which is the craziest thing to me. Not sometimes, people are having a team and maybe they have the stylist, like we've worked together in the past, and maybe you're kind to me but not to my assistant, and that's truly not the case with you. You're the first person to say hello, to make sure everybody's doing well, and that's why I wanted you here today. To me, you are an example to follow, not only as a superstar, professional and creative, but also as a human being in general, like I just said. And I have no doubts in my mind, my friend, that not only you have motivated me today, but you have motivated every single person watching you in the screen. And I cannot wait to see what you have, coming up in your future, which I'm sure is so
I
bright.
can't wait to share with you guys in the future once I get those plans.
Oh my gosh, we can't wait. We'll have her back, guys. So keep your seats warm for Caro again. I love you, friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so special.
So special. I'm so excited for you. And this is gonna be major. This is gonna be so major.
Universe willing to support, guys. Thank you for being with me and Caro today.
Thank you for having me.
My creative beings, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us here today. It was so special to spend this time together with Carolina, and I hope it was for you guys as well. And creatives, before I leave you guys today, I would like to kindly remind you once again that the MV series is streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast, as well as have additional socials on TikTok and Instagram, all under the MV series. Guys, please subscribe, and keep showing us that amazing love so we can show ours right back to you. And cannot wait to see you guys once again next Wednesday right here at the MV series.